It is time to share some thoughts as we continue in Nehemiah chapter 4. Today we're going to do from verse 10 to verse 12. Verse 10. Meanwhile, the people in Judah said, "The strength of the laborers is given out, and there is so much rubble that we cannot rebuild the wall." Also, verse 11, also our enemies said, "Before they know it or see us, we will be right there among them and will kill them and put an end to the work." Verse 12. Then the Jews who lived nearby then came and told us 10 times over, "Wherever you turn, they will attack us." Sometimes when we're at the halfway mark, when God has heard our prayer and is working with us, and despite everything that is going on around us, it seems as though we're making progress, believe it or not, the enemy will send someone or some people that we really trust, some friends, some family members that are normally very strong and supportive, to bring doubt and discouragement. Because he knows that coming from them, it may seem believable. So he used the people of Judah to bring doubt and discouragement. They said, "The strength of the laborers is given out, and there's so much rubble that we cannot rebuild the wall." One would expect to hear things like that from the opposition. But when we hear it from our own, we tend to waver a little. Doubt starts to creep in, and negative seeds are planted. They also made the removal of the rubble seem like an impossible task. They seem to have accepted that removing it was impossible. They said in no uncertain terms, "There is so much rubble that we cannot rebuild the wall." The word "cannot," though negative, has a certain measure of oomph, a certain measure of positivity to it. They were positive. They were certain that it could not be done. You know, there's a saying, when it rains, it pours. This is exactly what happened to Nehemiah and his team. As though the negativity from their own was not enough, the enemy was also plotting. They said, "Before they know it or see us, we will be right there among them and we will kill them and put an end to the work." The devil is always ready to put an end to God's work. Remember, his agenda is to steal, kill, and destroy. To steal their joy, their confidence, and their faith in God. To kill their dreams of rebuilding that wall with all their hearts. And to destroy their very lives. Some of the Jews overheard this and went to the work site and told them, not once, not twice, not even 3 times, but 10 times over, "Wherever you turn, they will attack us. Wherever you turn, they will attack us. Wherever you turn, they will attack us." Negativity, discouragement, doubt. This is all evidence that the enemy was hell-bent on overthrowing them. All the negatives, the strength of the workers is failing. The rubble is impossible to move. The enemy is plotting to pounce on them suddenly and kill them. But you know, whenever the enemy tells you that something is impossible, that is the very thing that will get you out of your situation. Whenever the enemy tells you that something is impossible, that it is so hard to do, is not doable, that is the very thing that is the answer to getting you out of your situation. Does this remind you of any time in your personal life when you feel like no matter what you do or where you turn, there is no end to your frustration? When all hell breaks loose, take a good look at the situation. The solution is right before you. It's right before us. It's in plain view. It's right before the people of Judah. It's right there. The rubble, the same thing that is so impossible, according to the enemy, when he whispered in your ear, the same thing that seems impossible is the very thing that is the key. Clean up the rubble. Clean up the rubble. The rubble had to be cleaned up, no matter what. They could not complete that wall unless the rubble was removed. They could not get to the parts of the wall that needed to be repaired because the rubble was in the way. Clearing it was not an option, it was a must. It had to be done so the parts of the wall that needed to be repaired could be properly rebuilt on its foundation. When the enemy attacks and the rubble is in the way, we are destined to trip and fall. Remove the rubble. Folks, the same thing is happening in our lives. Some will tell you, oh, you look tired, well, you don't forget about that. Some will tell you, but by now you should realize that that can be fixed, it is impossible. And some may even go as far as to tell you, if you don't give up on that, it will certainly kill you. But can it get any worse than what's happening right now? What do you have to lose by persevering? Look how persistent the enemy is at distracting and destroying you. God is with us. He's helping us rebuild the wall, but He wants us to clean up the rubble. The rubble is in the way. He wants us to get rid of the dross in our lives, the rubbish that is hindering the rebuilding of His wall. It will cause us to trip and fall, and this is exactly what the enemy wants. This is exactly where he wants us, because once we're down, he can keep us down. Sometimes even in our natural lives, we hold on to rubbish. Things that we had for years, we don't use them. Sometimes they cannot even be used because they're so old and rusty, but we have a hard time parting with them. We haven't used it for the past 10 years and probably wouldn't for another 10. But we have difficulty getting rid of it. Folks, it is rubbish. Throw it out. Similarly, in our spiritual lives, we harbor clutter. Dross, rubbish. Get rid of the dross. Let's clear the rubble in our lives so there will be a clear path to the parts of the wall that need to be repaired. I am challenging us this week to clear the rubble. I want to encourage us to reflect on our own lives, do some introspection, take note of the rubble and work on removing it. It may be a worldly fetish, it may be gossip, it may be disobedience, rebellion, lying, covetousness, envy, greed, whatever your rubble. Let us work on cleaning it up this week through prayer so we can move forward and complete the wall. Let's patch the hole of disobedience with bricks of obedience, the gap of selfishness with blocks of giving, the hole of lying with truth. Once we have repaired our personal wall, then we can help others repair theirs. Then we can together repair the walls around our nation. Let's remove the mote in our own eye first. So my friends, my personal homework for this week is removing the rubble. Removing all the rubble in my life. May not be able to remove it all at once, but I'll definitely try. I encourage you to do the same so we can move forward and complete the wall. Have yourselves a prayerful week. God bless you.